Okay, today we're going to look at how we factor when the coefficient in front is not just a squared or a b squared or a c squared. So these are going to be a little bit different because we don't just have a b squared and a b squared. So the process is about the same, but we're going to change a little because it's a little different. So first off, know once again that when we have an ax squared plus a bx plus a c, what we're looking at is how do the factors of, the other day we said just c, but actually it's the factors of ac. What do we mean by the factors? Values that multiply to be ac and add up to our middle term, or add up to b. So this time what we're going to be looking at is not just the factors of -9, but you have to take 2 times a -9. So now we're looking at the factors of -18. So something a little bit different is we're looking at not just the last term, but the coefficient in front of the b squared times the last term. So what are the factors of -18? Now the good news is we still want these to add up to -3. So we're still going to pick numbers that add up to a -3. But instead of being able just to put in a -6 and a +3, because there is a different way to get 2b squared. We have a 2b times a b. And then our last numbers, again, those have to multiply to be a -9. So if we just stick in a -3, a -6 and a 3 like we did yesterday, obviously those multiply to be a -18, and I don't have a -18. So I can't do like I did the other day. But what I'm going to be able to do with these numbers is, again, kind of use FOIL. So I use FOIL as first. So I get my b squared. Outside these numbers and the inside numbers have to add up to a -3. So this outside number is going to be my -6b, and my inside number is going to be a +3b. Why does that work? Because these have to add up to a -3b. Okay, so it's going to be kind of a little puzzle like. So we're going to have to say, okay, we got a 2b and our b. 2b times what will be a -6b? That'll be a -3. And then 3, I need a 3b for the inside. So b times what is going to be a 3b? That'll be a +3. So we're going to use these numbers like we did yesterday, but it's a little different. We can't just put those numbers in the spots. We have to put them in the outside, in the innards, and then take that coefficient of what's in front in mind. Okay? So it's a little trickier. I know I did a lot of explanation here. Let's do another example. So hit pause, and then I'll do another example. So my next example, I have, again, a coefficient in front. So know that it's going to be a little harder. So it's not just the factors of 14, but we have to take 5 times 14. So 5 times 14 is a 70. And then our idea is still the factors of 70 that add up to a 17. So again, what are the factors? Numbers that multiply to be. I want to add up to 17, so 7 and 10 will add up to 17. Okay. So unlike the other day, we can't just put in a +10 and a +7. So we have to kind of use those values. And how are we going to use those values? This 7 and 10 are going to be our outside numbers and our inside numbers. So we need a 10, in this case an R, and a 7R for our outside and our inside to add up to 17. But keep in mind that we don't just have an R squared. So how do I get a 5R squared? I have to use a 5R and a 5R. So once I do that, then think of it as a little puzzle. That's the only way we can get 5R squared. But 5 times what will be a 10R? That'll be a plus 2. And R times what will be a 7R? That'll be a 7. Okay. So let's do a quick FOIL check to see if we have exactly what we started with. So first, there's our 5R squared. Our outside values and our inside values will add up to 17R. And then, of course, our last terms are a 7 times a 2 is equal to a 14. Okay? So you can always double check these. It's a little bit harder. What do we do with these values? These are our outside and our inside terms. Hit pause. So again, there are some steps that are involved here. The first thing that you have to do is find out what the coefficient. I'm going to say A times C, remembering that A is the coefficient of the x squared, B is the middle number, C is the constant. So I'm looking at the factors of negative 90. Where did negative 90 come from? 3 times a negative 30 is a negative 90. We're looking at what are the factors of negative 90 that add up to a negative 1. So I know I have to do positive, negative, positive, negative, and once I choose a positive and a negative that multiply to be a negative, and we add up to negative 1. Once I have those values, I'm going to use those, but I'm going to use them a little different than I did the other day. Why? Because I have a coefficient in front of the n term. So this is just a 3n and an n. Again, that's the only way to get an n, 3n squared. I can't just put in the 10 and negative 10 and negative 9 here, because then I would get a negative 90 and I only need a negative 30. So I have, this has to be a 9n, and this inside here has to be a negative 10n. Now again, how do I know what to put in for these outside and insides? Well, if this is a 3n, I don't want to put a 10 down here, because 3 times nothing is equal to a 10. So now if I put the 9 here, I know this has to be a plus 3. And then n times a negative 10 will give me my negative 10n, which is what I need. Okay. Let's do a double check. What's a double check? First, there's my 3n squared. There's my 9n and a negative 10n to add up to negative 1n. And a negative 10 times 3 is equal to a negative 30. I'm going to hit pause. I want to show you the next example. I'm going to show you the next example. Copy this down. See if you get the right answer. Hit stop. And see if you get the right answer. And then put play and see if you know what you're doing. check. We went through, foil it to check your answer. If you need some help, make sure you get some help. I'll be around.